Can you say hi?
With the cup.
Can you say puppy? Can you say hello?
Hi, puppy. I love how this is how we start the new moon ritual. I will actually light candle just to kind of connect with all that need to be here. So you can take a time to light candle if you wish.
Yes.
And to, even if you're called to do any type of protection work, I'm also just lighting something to burn. Oh yeah, Spirit's like saying, howdy! Huge candle today. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay. So I welcome in Source Creator Energy always. Source Creator Energy, it's interesting because as I welcome it in, of course, that's what we are. That we are Creator Energy. We as human beings, that is our capacity. But of course, it's been taken away from us. We have forgotten it a lot of the time. So it is never when.
I'm part of what I'm being reminded of this week and at other times too recently is to co-create with Spirit.
Yeah.
Like that part of forgetting that we don't have to do it all on our own.
Yes. We never had to do it all on our own.
Yes.
We have never been alone.
Yes.
That was like the biggest lie of all.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. And it's almost as if there's this massive resurgence now of memory with it. Like we're getting to this point of just massive remembering that we are not alone. And so in that remembering, and even in, like, as I said, it's not like we just started this journey.
No, I know.
But it's like the intensity of this remembrance of our capacity it requires some grieving. It requires some, and it's a different grieving. It's not a grieving like full moon grieving, right? Like deep kind of that release. It's almost like I lay you to rest. I keep on going back to new moon used to be the time actually when why it's called a woman's moon cycle is because it started with the new moon. And so this kind of dark moon that's in the sky was a time when women at times in history were able to actually step out of whatever they were doing and completely allow them 2 to 3 days of just being in ceremony with Spirit. Like those red tent type of idea.
Yeah.
It was basically a spirit tent. It was, it was a way for them to connect to their natural capacity that anyone with a womb was gifted, right? Which was just that deep reminder that we are creators, and that creation.
I like that idea of my natural capacity. Like there is a resonance there for me right now when you're talking about the remembrance and the natural capacity, and for me the sense of not having to hide, not having to play small, not having to accommodate.
What pops out? Celestial. It's like it's going, hello, remember?
Oh, wow.
We are celestial beings. We are from the stars, right? Like it's just so, every single, I had the gift, I think it was last week. I don't know. The time has just completely stopped. I'm so grateful for the moon cycle just to know where I am. There's a dog passing by, so Paco might chime in.
Yes.
But there was like 14 Indigenous elders that I was able to sit with. They had this whole thing for World Indigenous Day. And these elders, all of them from all different tribes that were in all different places within South and North Americas, were sharing, going, yeah, we are from the stars. We always have been.
Interesting. Huh?
Yeah. They were just like, that's where all of their cosmovisions, all of their kind of creation stories were always that, you know, we came from the stars. And as we came into human form, right, the human being, the being is the star seed and the humanness is the body. And so we've worked in a harmonious way of creating, well, ease, joy, harmony, and all of that within this planet. And then and over time, absolutely, that was forgotten, that harmony of being, which of course then led to a disharmony of being in our world. And to the point that, like, it was just so wild to see how many were sharing. It was like, at the end of the day, remember that we are all one. And as much as it's not that we're saying like this idea of better than, less than, someone has more answers than another because they might be in this form in comparison to this form, is just untruth. We're all the children of the earth. We're all children of the stars. And so in that type of teaching that was so beautifully kind of like repeated again and again and again in that circle, but of course also seeing what we are moving through this year is, I'm going to share. I have to share. I knew I was going to share. Did you read the interview with an angel book?
I have not yet.
Right? Okay. Don't worry. It's a book that, like, when you're guided to read, it's time, and there will be points even when you're reading it that you will forget it. And it's because it is such a deprogramming. It will it'll be such a healer. But there's this point in one of the final chapters that the angel that she was speaking with, Gabriel, shares. In days gone by, you would have had the communal and cultural support to hone in on your abilities and skills, including your capacity to see clearly, perceive clearly, and make educated decisions. You and countless others around the planet have come into the most dark and oppressive period in human history and have had no education, support, or training. It is not your shortfall that you were vulnerable. It is your strength that you can overcome your lack of support and nurturing by seeing the bigger picture. It is your strength that you have chosen to wake up and express your highest self, regardless of the attacks, fear, and destruction around you. And I am not just saying this to you, but to every person who is reading or hearing these words. That moment re-cracked my heart open when I read that, because there is, in this remembering, we forget that, like, in remembering, in waking up, in connecting to our wholeness, into our totality, into that natural capacity, there is an immense, like, going, oh, why now? Like, there is so much that passed, that there so much harms, discomfort, rebirths of time, which I was just trying to fight it or resist it. Like, what, and there's so also much grief, but as you shared, that discomfort, that resistance, that there's so much. And so what I find is coming up this new moon. Oh, it's his arch nemesis. This is so interesting. My dog has an arch nemesis. And I call it that because it's like, it doesn't matter. He could be just doing nothing and he sees him and he's like, ah! So how interesting that comes up now, because we all are feeling as we review this type of idea of life, death, rebirth, of how many times our star seed, our spirit, has been reborn on this planet, of how many times we didn't make it. We've had to let go, right? Completely, actual life. And so that we could be reborn in another body. We could be reborn at a different time. And it is so interesting that I got this thing from Among the Wildflowers, Jackie Wilkins, medicine woman, right before this, which was about trauma and all of that stuff. And I thanked her for carrying divine timing in her medicines. And this idea of timing is something really great and big, because we're like, why are we here? Why are we here now? Why are we moving through this stuff at this point in time in 2020? Why did it take us till August in 2020 to step into this depth? Why is it taking us to this moment in time? Doesn't matter whatever date system we're following. Why now? Why now is it this moment of deep collective remembering, to the point that there is so much waking up, there is so much moving through, that that even us who have been on the path for so long, it seems like, are still moving through depths of healing.
Yeah.
And why? Why is it still not fully safe out there? Why is it still that even with all these people waking up, they're awake, right? Why is it still unsafe to be out there fully?
So surely there's a tipping point.
Yeah.
Like, are we not there yet?
Like fully in oneness, right? Because, and it's neat, like our work is to step back into that. One of the Indigenous elders was speaking of the actual name of the tribe that was like this one tribe of people that was throughout the whole Americas. For she's like going way back, and then how even there was division and struggle and challenge, of course, even within that, right? It's not that like even as I said, like one tribe, one way, one culture was doing it right. We were all having to move through these massive ways of separation, and to get us back to this feeling of, wait, it's all about connection. And then as we discover that it's all about connecting to our celestial roots, that it's all about coming back to this understanding that like, this is not woo-woo. This is not anything that is reality is magical. And our capacity, our natural capacity to create is magic, right? Our natural capacity is magic. And then if we think even like, and I'm using that word now, like at this moment, because we need to even look at that. Like sometimes we look at, oh, the stars, and that sounds romantic. Or it might sound really weird, because then you're like, wait, aliens come from the stars. You mean we're all aliens? But then you look at like all these religions that are talking about angels, which are from the stars, and you don't see them. It's like, hello. So some people, it's just, there's different kind of levels of okay with that we have been taught. But all in all, it's that our magic was taken away. Our capacity to go, we can take some space and convene with that cannot be seen, because we trust that it is there, because we trust that it is with us always. It is our support team. It is our way of moving through this earth school of separation, as they speak of it so beautifully in that book. It's like this type of like way of, we obviously agreed to come into this thing for a reason. And whatever that reason may be, it does not matter. We are here. We are here now. And so our work is continuously, yes, coming back into relations with us first, then potentially the earth and other beings. But we need to discern now, because a lot of things, that resistance, right? If we realize that we are creators, then why have we created death? If we are creators, why have we created a way of ending? And I'm finding that's been a really big thing that's been coming up again and again, is, you know, to look at our awareness, our understanding, and our sensations or resistance around ending. And the obvious way of looking at ending is, yes, someone dies. The unobvious way of looking at endings is boundary. Right? Because you're going, hey, I'm voicing, this is my boundary. And in voicing and sharing my boundary, I know that one of the possibilities by me sharing what I need is that you will disagree and you will leave. Right? It's that, there's always, and in that, because of course we are starved of connection, we are starved of this ability to remember that we are all one or all connected, because there is still so much lack of trust within that connection. Because yes, there are still energy predators out there. Seems like it's a bit of a reckoning right now. Most definitely. I've been seeing a lot of like energy practitioners that have been kind of doing it in certain ways. The veils are being lifted.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
and the and some people that you're like, oh, I had a feeling about that.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, oh shit, I should have listened to my intuition, but I just kept shut because it seemed like it was cool. Or some that you didn't even know about. Because the play of, so it's this grieving of this being uneducated of our capacity, right? This being uneducated or untrained in our natural capacity that has been taken away by so many. And I find it is so beautiful, though, to still see that there are some traditional wisdom keepers that have kept some of these old teachings or knowings, I would say more so than teachings, alive, because they have been actually secretly passed down from generation to generation, and actually were nurtured from their parents, and their parents going, yes, magic does exist. Connect to spirit. This is your gift, right? But the majority of us who step into this work are stepping into this work because we have not had that nurturing. We have not had that education. And so we look to connect and try to comprehend spiritual guidance and why we have been taught that one way is good, be it in organized religion, and that one way is bad, be it witchcraft or whatever you name that thing that is paganism.
Mm.
And you're like, speak, voice. Thank you, Spirit. You're kind of funny today.
Wah, wah. It's a silly day. It is a silly day.
It's an
Yes,
intense
a day
one.
for play, but yeah.
And well, and that's, I think, a day for play. So many people, because of our uneducation, have played the wrong way. They played the game the wrong way. They stepped into relation with energy feeling, I will keep it a secret, and I will utilize that secret to initiate more power for me. And so when then we look at energy, we just see the work. We see that, I have to protect myself. I need to have boundaries. I need to heal. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this, which in actuality is a protective measure, but still also part of, thank you, Spirit. Holy crap. I'm like, wow. Part of the worth wound, part of the capitalist system, because that is still telling us that we need to just do. When in actuality, play brings up that being state, that flow state, that creative flow, which is our creational capacity. So it's this wild thing that right now we are asked to only work with energy because there has been so much misuse. But at the same time, our celestial state is asking us to go, but play with it. That is what's going to happen. That's how you create, is that you enjoy the raucous ride, the laughter, the going, the delight of seeing something that you thought or felt or thought felt and come out into actual reality, right? Actually come. But there is still so much resistance. And what was the word? I want to add that word that you shared. Sorry.
Agitation.
Agitation, yes. That resistance or that agitation in our beings, that is those last dregs of those, like, just think of how long the worth wound has been here.
I find that overwhelming when you say that, because I find it like a worth wound as an individual, but in reality, it is more than that. Like it's ancestral. It is, yeah. And I just go, oh.
Exactly. Like it's so much to take in. And then to realize that, like, we as peoples have looked at first colonization because it's a categorization of time, right? That we have seen has dealt with kind of like some people are slaves or can be taken over by other people that are in power, right? And we look at it going, okay, that's 500 years, because that's categorized, right, in some way. But then when we actually try to think of, because in Reiki even, right, and I know you and some others that are on this circle who probably be listening to this are Reiki practitioners, the master symbol is there about coming to the root of things. So then if you think about, our energy is always going to be moving and accessing the root of something. The root of that wound is not just 500 years old. The root of that wound is like way, way before that. And when then you think of that, you're like, holy crap, that's really overwhelming. That I have something in me that is tied to literally when I felt for the very first time separate I felt for the very first time, not one. I felt back forth, right? Like you could take that. And so then when you see what is coming up this year, right? And those of us who are doing this deep work, right? This deep work that we are doing is allowing others to also wake up. And it's not, oh, we're more powerful. It's just because as we connect more so to our oneness, it's almost as if that energy then is being able to be transplanted into the earth, so that someone else is then, as they connect to the earth in whatever way that may be, they get a little reverberation of that, right, into them. And then they're like, holy crap, there's something that is reminding me that I am not separate. I am not alone. So why am I feeling that? And then,
Yeah.
Whew. So then for us, there are times, and I remember when I get to sometimes these deep times of resistance or these new moon cycles, when they ask you really to go deep in communion with that magic, with that, like, I want to take unknown out of the dictionary. It's just so silly, because it's like our spirit knows all. Always. Just because we forget, that could have been a program, that could have been just a block, that's a resistance, right? So it's just a continuous unraveling back into that knowing that we do contain. So so right now we are moving through literally, and it's not that it's like we have to go back all those years, right? That's the beauty of divine timing, is that it's not that we have to face every single time our worth was questioned, or every single time we face that harm or that disconnect. And I'm getting called to remember that moment in meditation last week when we felt holographic.
Yeah.
Right? Like there was that moment of like mini.
Yeah, we all had, yeah.
So it's realizing that more and more, as soon as we consent to seeing what we are dealing with, that's like all we need to do, because then we can see it. So we're like, okay, I'm dealing with the worth wound. It's from the beginning of time. The resistance I have is probably because some of the things that I have ended, or some of the things that I have separated myself from, right, were because of a reason, because it harmed me. It was of the harm, it was of the fear, it was of the violence, it was all that stuff that is not actually part of, I'm going to say it, part of oneness.
Right.
It is
not. You have to be separate. You have to separate from it in order to commit violence like that. Like you it's not, I don't believe it's possible to be in violence when we are in connection.
Absolutely. It is not of human nature. And I think as we become more aware that we are from the stars, and more aware that we are in a beautiful human body that is designed to create, we are creators. In that remembrance, now we have to understand as well that many that have been on this planet for many cycles of time were not human. And we're like, and it's not conspiracy theories. It's not this. It's just like, how else then could something that is wanting to utilize our capacity, our natural capacity to co-create and to be one, to separate and to shift, better than, less than, or like, you know, the dynamic if someone has more than you. So us realizing this uneducation, or this uneducating and unpassing down of all of this that we are sharing, was done to keep us in the dark, because that is the way that these cycles could continue, is to feel that suffering was a part of life. That, oh, and I've done it too. I remember I'd be like, oh, I must learn something from that experience. Right? Like, oh, there was some really deep trauma, but you know, I was talking about this recently with another healer friend. It's like the times that we were like, we as these light beings would look into the eyes of another person and see their light, right? And so you'd put your trust into them, and then they'd harm you, and then you'd be like, but why? And realizing that maybe it's because actually that person hasn't seen or doesn't want to see, and that is a choice. So stepping away, we've had to practice separation. And I think, oh my gosh, it's almost as if grieving that death rebirth cycle, that cycle of ending, that cycle of separating, of leaving, is bringing up the moment of now forgiving why we had to do that. Right? It's like we had to separate, and it wasn't because we're separate, but it was for not yes, self-preservation, but in that self-preservation, it being preserving our essence, that light. Holy crap. I did not know where this was going. That's a lot. Yeah. Thank you for channeling Spirit. Yeah. I was like, whoa. Yeah. That's a lot to take in. Yeah. Because,
and it's one of those where I hear more than I have before. I don't know that I still hear it and have it all. I could not play it back, right? Like I'm not at a place where I could play that back, but I'm at a place now where the pieces are starting to fit together a little bit more. Like I'm remembering how it all fits together.
Caretaker. Like we have been we have been in custody, like custodians of this light for so long, of carrying this light within these immense creator being bodies for so long. And carrying, it's almost as if I'm like seeing this, like, you know, when those like royal messengers, like from previous stories, that they had to carry something really sacred from one point to another. And that one point to another was treacherous, and there was robbers, and there was like, everyone was trying to get this really sacred thing that they were bringing, this very valuable thing. And so by them carrying that, those messengers were literally putting their lives at risk. But they knew that it was so important. Like that thing had to go from here to here.
Right.
And so we have been caretaking. We have been carrying this light for a really long time and keeping it sacred. But in order to protect it, protect that heart capacity, or through, and some people have not made it, right? They did not make the thing. They did not make the point A to point B. And so we are the ones that are left, right? Like that have carried, are carrying it, and now actually realizing though that that point B is now. That point B is, it has always been now. But it's having and to be able to open that lock or code, right? That's within us, that always has been in us at a time when it feels safe to do so. What's coming up with that?
I just keep, in the analogy that you're sharing, it's parallel, not the exact same, but I keep seeing that red seal, right? That seal, that wax seal. And to me, it's almost like, yes, carrying, but sealed in a way that you didn't know what it was.
Yes, that you didn't know what it was. And so that is what required our faith. That is what required our trust, was to go, this thing that we hold is so valuable, but we don't even know what the fuck we're carrying.
Yeah.
And now we're realizing the value. Oh my gosh. Thank you for, I just enjoy our channeled sessions so much.
I know.
I'm like, whoa, bing, 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 bing. Oh my goodness.
And it's a trust too of, and what's coming up? Well, this is coming up. I'm not sure how it fits, but this is how it fits. Oh yes, it does. Look at that.
Exactly. It's we're finally going, okay, we trust that what we are carrying, that value, so then what does that mean for us now? And because that means that journey, that drive, that purpose, that mission from point A to point B that has been going on since the beginning of separation is over.
I mean, it's over, but it's a beginning. And I mean, the grieving is the over, the beginning is the, look what it is.
Right.
And the resistance and the fear and the, how am I worthy of this value when I keep still believing some of the separateness? Wait, I'm not separate. Okay, there, I can believe it. And it's a dance in and of itself of, I hear, I believe, I feel. Oh, wait, I forgot. Oh, I remember again. I feel some more. Like, to me, it is also a journey of the feeling state. I can't just hear it. I have to feel it.
We have to feel
integrate it.
Yes. Our bodies are like, energy is a sensory experience. And it's just so wild to see why either our feelings have been so policed over time, or how we've just been so re-traumatized, because trauma makes us not want to feel.
Yes.
Right? Pain makes us not want to feel. Let's call it simple. You
that.
burn your hand. Like, you're not going to want to burn your hand again. It's not fun. It's not an enjoyable experience. And so then you're like, oh, feeling is bad. And when feeling, I agree, like it's just, that is the way that we can sense this magnitude, but also the resistance, and also the simultaneous, like, going, really? So you mean I've arrived? You mean I've arrived to my destination? I have no need to journey if I don't want to. It now can just be an easeful play in the park, right? It can be in a play state. It's not work anymore. We're this mission. And then the work instead is unpacking this sacred thing we have been caring and caretaking for in a very long way, in a long time. That is our work now. Our work is unpacking all that comes with that. Oh, I feel such peace with that. Just burning. So then this new moon, which is why we are being called to really step into that moon tent, you know, into that moon cycle, no matter where we actually are in our blood cycle, right? Even if we're not bleeding anymore, it's okay, right? There's still blood flowing. You're in the wise cycle, right? It is that because we now need to sit with self and that self-protection and to unpack it and go, that sacred thing that has been held and locked and protected for so long, we now can open it. We now are at a time when we can work with it, play with it, be with it.
I want to say claim it as well, because I think that's part of the misremembering.
Claim it. That it is yours.
Yeah.
It's that not for someone else.
Yeah, it is mine. It is me.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Because sometimes we feel when we are carrying something that we are then giving it to somebody else that might have been, you know, we get all these stories. Oh, we're giving it to the king. We're giving it to the queen. We're giving it to the goddess. We're giving it to source. But then wait a second, I was called at the very beginning when I called in source to remind us that we are also part of that, right? We are all part of source energy. We are creators. So in that, we are actually giving it to the thing that we value the most. And that value that we have placed on another is now being required to place on ourselves. So, how do we value ourselves? What is any that deep agitation, that deep displacement, that deep discomfort is all we need to do is allow it. It is not a pain that is being given by someone else. It is our body kind of preparing our self to gift us our gift us ourself. Gift us. It's kind of hard to say it,
right?
It's like because we're always so used to giving it. A giving and receiving, right? Like that it's a binary, that there's two things involved, but then we're giving and receiving simultaneously to self, because in that self, there is access to spirit, there is access to one, there is access to all. And as soon as we reignite it or activate it, that is then we can share it. And it's neat. I remember when people are feeling really crappy about self, of how a lot share, go help someone else, right? Like go be of service, go
Yeah.
do some volunteer work, go connect to community. And of course, because it will remind you of connection, right? When you're feeling caca. And so then you're like, wait a second. So that initial caca feeling is because there is a lack of connection. That lack of connection, we think, is like this neediness for other people. But first and foremost, it's the neediness for that connection to self. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think there needs to be a word for giving and receiving at the same time. And I don't know if that's being or allowing. I don't think so. But
I think the English language.
We have it.
Yeah, and I think that's the really interesting thing with language.
Yeah.
I remember one thing that when the elders were connecting, a lot of them spoke of that, of how they were very grateful for their, they were like, we are seeds, right? And that seed, that type of thing that we're carrying is shown in our native language, in our native ritual, blah, blah, you know, like, and they named specifically language. And I think that's actually really interesting that we bring that up, because yes, I don't think in English there would be a way of describing that both, but in native language there is.
Yeah.
Amy, I know for sure that A-Y-N-I. A-Y-N-I. Yes, in Quechua, the Quechua elders of Peru that are far up in the mountains from the Pacos, the Quero shamans, right? They share of them practicing Aini, which is a sacred reciprocity. So it's giving, receiving love, right? And it sounds so simple. And this is another thing that I've been really, you know, that's so neat that that's connected. Thank you for making that connection because yes, we can't say that whenever we say giving and receiving in English, it seems like it's two separate things, right? But Aini is reminding you that it's a together thing, that it's in relation to, they spoke of being in relation to the creator energy, the creational capacity that is in the water, that is in fire, that is in earth, that is in air. And so as you realize these elements outside of us that look also powerful is a reminder, you know, they're giving us and we're, you know, and we're receiving, yes, but they're also receiving from us. And we're also, it's like, it's just sacred reciprocity never feels like it's a back and forth. It's not a back and forth. It's not someone gives and someone receives. It's that like, they give, receive love, and you're giving, receiving love. And it might be in different timings, and it might be in different like flows and access points, but that then allows this kind of greater wholeness to be.
It's like you can't give without it being received. You can't receive without it being given.
Yes.
Like one is the other.
Yes.
Just, and so, are you looking at it this way or this way?
Yes, yes. And so it's like looking at, and of course they go to heal that. We can look out to the elements. We can look out, I'm looking out my windows, like look out to nature, you know, look out to like the earth and our relation to her, because of course, she's always giving us. She's always also taking from us, like receiving. And that's a constant. But if we feel disconnected from that, that is disconnecting us from the teaching of reciprocity within ourselves. We have come to the fullness of rejuvenation.
Rejuvenation.
Yeah, I love this. That's a beautiful fractal. Let's see if I can get it without a reflection of the screen so you can see this gorgeous fractal. And now let's
I'm loving the colors.
I know. The
blues and the
greens, and then there's this little kind of like reddish pink in the center with some yellow. Very, very profound. So in this trust that we have been working on so hard to reimagine in its truth, to reconnect to in its truth, now that it is here, it is almost, it's a practice of rehabilitating this, rehabilitating this connection. I'm just getting a deep rehabilitation where and it's not something that's going to take or be hard. As you said, it's like what has come up, you're just guided to do. Like yesterday you were guided to rest, and it's doing it. Like our body is restoring itself. Yeah. Our body is restoring itself because the work now is in the thing, is in the heart, right? Like it's in the thing that we're caretaking. The work is not in aligning to spirit. We are aligned. It is not in aligning to self. We are in self, right? Right? That is. And so at this point, we can just play. So and that play, I'm getting, it's not what we think of as just child's play, because as adults, we don't really get shown much play.
No.
Right? Play could be in crafting. Play could be in creating. It could be in cooking. It could be in doing something just for the sake of doing it without any need to care about why. Just for the sake of being somewhat artistic and enjoying what you desire to create. It could be gardening. Play could be singing. It could be dancing, right? Like there's so many different ways of play. Play is, you know, in intuition, when you don't have to ask, it's just there. So like when you're walking and your body just turns that way because it just knows, right? That is play. That's flow, right? Because that's not having to go, wait a second, do I trust myself?
Right.
It is, yes, right? Like there's no second pause, check-in. So play is intuition. Play is allowing yourself to flow. So in your days, knowing that the work of that we are doing is so deep and so profound that we can gently move through that external experience that is a day, that external experience that is a night. Another thing, actually, a correction with the night, because of course the night we rest, our body rests, and spirit gets to go and do some really awesome things. So that is also part of the restoration process. And so our resistance sometimes to sleep, because I'm getting that sometimes as we move through these resistances, one of the resistance comes up is that we don't want to sleep. Or that we don't sleep. So we don't wanna, or it doesn't happen. Right? And that is another just process of the resistance. So it's like if we are not sleeping, see what you need to allow yourself to have good sleep, you know, eat well right now, and take care of you. Because what we are unpacking is so profound. Oh my gosh. There is no words.
Yeah.
We're soon going to step out of English altogether.
Yeah. But we feel that too, though, don't we? Like when we tap in at times, there are no words. Like it's just like, well, I described it the other day. Like I hadn't had, like I know we have had these feelings before. I know I have. But there was a point where I deliberately just reached out and I did connect with everything. And it was just so cool. But it's just, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It just is.
It just is. Yes. Yes. It
Yeah.
just is that
Yeah.
isness of state. And I know you, as well as others that are in this circle, might at point in times be seeking how you can be of service. How can you offer? What are the gifts or that? And so it's almost as if this new moon cycle is asking you if there's any other resistance, if there's resistance being felt around that. It is not about trying to, I'm even like the word dismantle might be too grand, like might be too strong of a word for the sensation of just like, we have been journeying and seeking for a really long time. So be kind to yourself in this cycle and know that this is like, that's a very big ending. That's a really big ending. That's a long journey. That was a deep point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right? So if ever during this process there feels like that old pressure of like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm uncertain, or what the fuck, why is it still happening? It's like, just be a little gentler with self, because as you unpack all this, as you do so, it will, the methods or the experiences that you have been having this whole journey time is what you can share. So your kind of personal experience from separation to oneness, from forgiving separation, also for it being there for a reason, because we had to protect ourselves, all of it, like that, your journey is what you will be able to share. And there was something really profound that came recently in a connection, was that they were like, I know what my work is, but right now it's still too triggering. I still have too much to heal around it. And I think that's the thing, is that sharing of our journey, be it however it may be it in coaching, be it in energy work, be it in a receptionist at a dental office. Pardon?
Art.
Yeah, art. Like it doesn't matter how you are sharing that journey, right? Like the how will come to you, which will be more easeful, whatever will give you joy and ease, right? That's because that's at the end of the day, we have the capacity to create ease and joy. So the how is up to you. But the sharing of the journey is the purpose, right? So that we can then assist more, because then we won't have to do as much protection work and boundary work and all that. You know, it will be a bit more of an easeful existence to be walking through this world. So that though, I'm even getting blip, blip, that will come as we heal, right? And that will come as the, like, just feel that what you can share right now, yes, this is it. What you can share right now, always. So it's like, be it 2019, be it 2016, be it 2020, be it August, be it September, is you go, what can I share right now? The thing that you can share right now is the thing that does not re-traumatize you, right? The thing that you can share is a thing that you're capable of sharing with others without it feeling like it is putting you back into that harm or fear state. That it doesn't have that same effect on you. So that it can then become, be it what it's called, a teachable moment, or something of aiming. Yeah. So then that seeking of like, what should I do, right, becomes less, because then you go, what can I do? What can I share that feels supportive of me first, right? Not of, and I love, Natoya speaks of this a lot, of how when she was like, oh, people are asking me to do a video on this or doing a video on this. And she's like, I need to remind you, I don't work for you. I work for a spirit. I work for the source, like for source energy. And that's who we work with, because that's who we are, right? So it's I think it's just like honoring what you are guided to share, and what you're, what feels that it will support you first. Because if it supports you, then you know that it won't be re-triggering, re-traumatizing, and put you in like those weird dynamic of polarity again, right? Because we are stepping away from polarity, we're stepping away from binary, but in that stepping away, there is going to be some like having to kind of just extra double checks on going, does this feel right? And our discernment that keeps on coming up, I'm seeing it's like discern. I've said it too. I even put a post up today about it. Because discernment comes with clarity, with clear intuition. So our work now is also honoring the days that we can't discern are the days we don't fucking share shit. Like, or we don't like have to, you know what I mean? It's like, we don't always have to be on. Yeah. Allowing yourself those days to be just befuddled and clearing, or in private, or at your, you know, in the comfort of your backyard, or in the comfort with your loved ones that just accept you in your allness. Because there will be times when that clarity is not there, because the clearing is so great. And it's okay.
Yeah, that expectation of always needing to be on goes back to I think pedestals, and someone is better than.
Yep. Absolutely. So it's just, it's so like, it all tends to go back, right? Like to those things. And so, but there's so many different layers of it, of how it shows up. And I think that's it, is that like,
it's shocking at times.
Yeah. So we looked at the big ways, yes, but let's now start to look at the subtle ways, the subtle ways of things ending, the subtle ways of things feeling confusing, the subtle ways of us feeling unprotected or unsupported, because those are, if we are moving through life in protection, rescinding our energy, knowing how to clear, protect, and do all these things, right? The big things aren't affecting us anymore. It's the subtle, like last little, I'm thinking of like, you know, because I was talking about with a friend of like the critters that sometimes come in apartment buildings.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the roaches or the stuff like
Yeah.
that you're just like, and you have to like seal up the little cracks because it's like they're in the walls of the building, right? Like it doesn't matter how great you keep your space. And so it's like that. It's like the little cracks in the wall, right? That's what we're working on now, is we're filling up those little tiny places where that fear, harm, or old cycles that we can see on the big scale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But on the little scale, that's where they're coming in.
Yeah. Unless we're paying attention. Yeah. And just,
Yeah.
It's like food intolerances. When you aren't doing any, if you're eating all those things that you're intolerant of, you actually don't feel well, but you don't know because you haven't ever not eaten them. When you start to take them away and you hit one of them, it is a big thing. Like, you know it. And then as you move on, there's the subtleties where you notice them and you kind of move with it to find a way to,
That's a beautiful, is that an analogy? I guess that would be an analogy.
It is an
yes,
analogy.
okay.
Yeah. I know. Analogy, metaphor, I'm not sure.
I'm like, wait a second, I'm like, no,
but it works.
It's not a metaphor, but
Call it either, and I get
it. But yes, that is exactly it. We did the elimination diet, right? Yes. Like that was started in March.
Yeah.
You know, we started the elimination diet, and now we're at a point, absolutely, that we're like reintegrating maybe a couple foods, but checking in on like how that dance. I love it.
Those combinations. What this and that. Nope. On its own, it's fine. Together, no.
Yes. Oh, the work is so subtle. And I think though there's a moment, because I'm feeling we're getting to a close, but like that of really honoring that for us to be able to pick up on those subtleties, the work that has been done.
Yeah.
Oh. So just also like, I know it's August and in this hemisphere it's summer, so yay. But just like, so take that time and just give yourself a moment to like pat yourself on the back for a millennia of this work. Like for just allow some space and gentleness and deep gratitude for, like, I have deep gratitude for source, deep gratitude for all aspects of the divine, for you, for connection on this path, for and for self, for being here now in divine timing, carrying this gift for so long, and now finally going, you mean I don't have anywhere else to go? I can just move and have some fun? Okay. So yes, deep gratitude, right? I think is, and I know you even, you yourself, Jody, do certain work with gratitude. So it might be the time to bring that that up and out to others, if that's shareable. Because it's just so integral to give thanks. I love that teaching of, and I keep on coming back to it, it's like this it's such a subtle thing of, like, you see a fallen eagle feather and you realize it's something, medicine for you to use, or it's a tool for you to utilize in your connection to spirit. And so you pick it up. And so you give thanks by leaving food for the bird. And it's that reciprocity, that sacred reciprocity. So gratitude, when we actually do the act of receiving, right?
Yeah.
Naturally, that is one practice we can do, is give gratitude, give food, give offering, give some way of acknowledging of acknowledging all that we are receiving.
Yeah.
Anything else coming up?
Mm-mm.
I feel we're pretty complete, and I feel so much more at peace, I have to admit, than I did coming into here.
Well, that was the like my check-in was very much peace. Yeah.
Yeah, just so much gratitude. May we continue to move through this path this month, this new cycle, in relation to ourself, in relation to our gift, in relation to our support team, in relation to our earth, in relation to each other. May we continue to forgive. May we continue to receive. May we continue to give gratitude. And may we continue to heal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a glorious rest of this rainy day. And
I know, I have the window open. The rain sounds so nice.
I feel like it might be a walking in the rain day. Yeah. Lots of love.
And you too.
Thank you. Connect to you soon.
Indeed.
Oh. And it just came as I'm like, phew. I will probably do a YouTube, but I don't know when. But one thing that really came up in that rereading of that book was something that was said so matter-of-factly by the angel that, you know, when someone thinks that's just so, like so casually, like, yep, this is normal, that you like have to pay attention. Our support team does change and shift as we change and shift with realization. So hence why I was like, I'll do a YouTube potentially to guide people through a meditation to almost like, I feel it's like a changing of the guards.
Right. Yeah.
So as and it's simple, just go into meditation and just connect, just go, I'm connecting to my team. And if any of those at this point have no more need to be here because they cannot support me in this now next phase, I thank you for your service and I ask you to go.
Yeah.
So yes, last little point. That was so funny. Cool. They're like, changing of the guard is important now. Yeah. And it might feel like another release, and that is okay. Yeah. It's not discounting their work and their guidance. It's just honoring that they might not be able to have anything more to say for where you are moving. Yeah. Okay. And on that, we can close. Much love. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Bye.